And so again, welcome to Course Settings and Sharing. My name is Shauna Denny, and we're going to walk through everything you need to know to get your course set up and so your students can be the most successful they can in your class. If you have any questions as we go along, feel free to throw those in the chat or just unmute yourself and we can get those questions answered. And there we go. And so let's go through our agenda. So we're going to look at all of the course settings. So each Canvas course has some specific settings. When you copy a course from one semester to another, know that once you set these settings up in, say, your sandbox course or course you're working in, you can import those course settings as well. So you just kind of have to do them one time. We'll talk about sections, look at navigation, and look at some feature options. We're going to show you those external tools. You may not have access to add them, but we can kind of give an overview of that, and then you can always reach out to your Canvas admin. And then we're going to talk about sharing and importing. So after you have created all of your wonderful content, we're going to show you how to import other content that's not Canvas related content, also copying courses, how you can share content with other faculty members, and how you can export your Canvas courses. And then we always want to validate those links, make sure all those links work. So we'll walk through that process as well. And that can actually be done, throughout the semester. You don't have to just do it when you first import, but you can do that, multiple times through the semester. It really just depends on a lot of times where your content is coming from. And if you notice, maybe you have students that are reporting links that aren't working in your course, it's always helpful to go in and run through that. All right. So we are going to jump into one of our Canvas courses. And so I'm going to demo from this particular course. We're going to go through everything related to our settings. So let me just zoom in a little bit, make things a little easier for us to see. On your course navigation, if you come all the way down to the bottom, there is a settings space, and that settings will allow us, we're going to spend most of our time in this particular area. This first tab here is course details, and this gives us the space where we can enable students access. When they can access this, we can change this course card image, and we can do some other things that are kind of hidden under this more options tab here. So we're going to spend quite a bit of time first thing looking at this, and then I will give you some time to practice some of these things that I'm showing you. So again, I navigated into one of my Canvas courses. I just clicked on settings. And then within settings, I have all of my tabs across the top. We're going to kind of go through most of these tabs for this session. This first one is this course card image. And so if you would like to have a course card image on your Canvas class, this is where you're going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this image so we just have that blank one. And when I refer to this course card, where this shows up is on the user's dashboard. That is the card that they're going to see here on that particular image. Now you can put animated GIF files, so we can see that one here, our little Star Wars and our raccoon there doing their math lessons. If you don't have a course card image, or you can have a static one, the course will just be a solid color. And this can be customized and changed per user. So you don't necessarily get to set that color for your course for your students because this is a user setting. But you can set this course card image for your particular class. It can be a static image or it can be an animated GIF. And I'm going to show you both of those right now. So when I come into my course details, I'm going to choose course image. And it's going to give me the option to upload an image. So I'm just going to grab one from my computer, and I'm going to show you two. First one I'm going to do is show you just that static one. And let me see if I can find that one that I just downloaded. There we go. And so I'm just going to click and drag it over, and it'll give me just a preview of what that looks like. And I can make this using Google Slides or PowerPoint. I can even create some kind of graphic in any kind of image editing program I want. You can also grab some screenshots from online, but I need to make sure that that image is free license. The license is available for me to use. So I can grab just a static image. I can also update this and say choose image. And if I want to bring in an animated GIF file, I can just, again, I'll have to find one or create one and then upload that to my computer. And so that will run through as an animated file. So now when I come down and save this, I'm going to update course details. And I'm just going to come back here to my dashboard. I'm going to refresh this. So we'll see that one there will update. So now when my students come here, this is the image that they'll see. So you can have this static or you can have it animated. Now, one thing to remember for accessibility, this image has no extra value to my course. So if we have students that are accessing with a screen reader, there's no way to put in alt text here. So their alt text will just read the actual name of the course that's listed here, and they're not going to get any benefit from that visualization there. So just a little disclaimer on that area. All right, I'm going to go ahead and drag back my static image so we don't have to sit and watch the fireworks all morning, and leave that here. When we get out of here, I'm going to show you if you have this, it will live in your course files later, and we'll go back and look at that. All right, so we're going to continue our little journey down course details here. The next area is our name and our course code. Chances are you cannot edit that, and that's a good thing. Those will be enabled or blocked out from you editing from your how your courses are created. So we're assuming that you're working or you're going to be looking at this in a course that you have students enrolled. So if this is tied to your student information system and how your students register for classes, you do not really want to change the name or the course code. Or if there's a SysID listed here, you're not going to want to change that because that is what's tied to those registration systems, and we want to leave those static. So we don't want to enable that. The other thing is this blueprint and course template. You notice these are grayed out. I can't enable those. So those cannot be set as a blueprint or a course template. And I'm really highlighting these is, and maybe you're working with your department and you want to create a course that is common between all of the government classes. So all of the same American government classes, they're all going to use the same content. We're going to keep some things that some instructors can customize. At that point, you could enable one of your course shells as a blueprint, and then that blueprint can be associated to all the sections that you're going to teach through the semester. And so the one thing to note is any blueprint or template course will never have students enrolled in it. So that's why I can't enroll anybody in here, because I actually have students enrolled in it. And I can see my student list over on the right-hand side. But that's where you're going to enable a blueprint. And the difference between the blueprint course and a template course is a template would just give instructors just kind of a home page, maybe clean up the course navigation, and just kind of, it'll give them a starting point for any new courses. So generally, you guys are starting to use Canvas and building your stuff. You're probably not going to get a class pushed out as a template, but we do have blueprints and course templates that are set up that maybe some people in the room are instructional designers, or you guys are thinking about bringing or having instructional designers make common courses. Those are some options that you might want to look at for pushing out content in mass to faculty members. Our time zone is going to be set to our default time zone for our, okay, so you do use Blueprint and Master courses, perfect. Our time zone is set just from our account. Remember, the user can set their own time zone. So if you do have students that are working remotely and they're across time zones, they can set that for their user account. But everything will default to whatever time zone you have set for your account. If a particular class has a custom time zone, you may be able to change this, but chances are you're just going to leave that to whatever the default is. Now, our sub account in our term These will be set again by your enrollments generally as your courses are created. Whatever sub-account these are put in, and I have the ability to edit this because I'm an account manager. So I'm going to go ahead and change this one to our university one. And the default term would be whatever term this course is being offered. So that way, and the reason why we set these up is so courses will open and close in mass automatically, and the instructors would not have to edit that. But say for instance, you know, I'm offering this class, but my class isn't going to run for the full September through December fall 2023 term. Maybe this is a condensed course and I want to set the participation and customize this. So instructors can generally edit this participation. And what they'll need to do is change that from term to course. And then at that point, I can set the start and the end date for my course. So that course participation, I can set. So if say my traditional semester, my term runs from September 4th through December 10th. But this course is only going to run until mid-October. So I can set that start date for this particular course. And we'll do the 5th, since that's the day after Labor Day. And then the end date, I can set that custom end date for this course. So maybe if it's going to end on, let's do Friday the 13th there, I can go ahead and set that end date and customize this. So what that means is this course will be done on this date. And then I can also restrict students from viewing the course before the start date, and I can restrict students from viewing the course after the start date. And this will limit the students' access. So even though my semester goes until December, this course just runs a shorter amount of time because it's a condensed course. And so I can set this date. Now, one thing to remember about this end date, and we do notice we have a little exclamation point. I call this a Cinderella date. So I think it's going to end on October 4th or 13th, but this is actually right at the stroke of midnight. So I would want to come in and give it one extra day. And so right at the stroke of midnight at the end of the 13th day, it will close out. So that's one thing to note. This is and it's my term, is that Cinderella date is it closes out right at midnight. And so we always want to add an extra day. I always add an extra day for a buffer. So that is our participation. Again, if your class runs during the normal term, you're going to want to leave that set the way that your Canvas admin has it set up for you. But if you need to customize your participation, you can go ahead and change the default to course, put in the start and end date, and maybe it starts at the normal semester, so I don't need to worry about that, but I can customize that end date for myself and for my students. And then at that point, if I want to restrict students from viewing prior or restrict students viewing after the date, I can close that out. Just know that they are not going to see this course until you actually publish it. So regardless of what I have checked here, if I don't publish the whole course, students won't see that at all. All right, so let me check the chat. There's a question. So does the time zone in the course control the time zone that Zoom displays in the course? So your time zone set by your overall account. If for some reason you want this course, the time zone to change, and that would just really impact their access to certain times and dates. So you probably want to just leave it at whatever your institution account is. I think I'm being thrown off by the Zoom displays in the course. Oh, so if you have your Zoom meetings, then maybe that's what I'm thinking of. If you have your Zoom meeting set up, it's your Zoom account has its own time zone. So if those aren't matching, then there will be some great confusion on your class. So you're going to want to make sure that those are set correctly. And a lot of times that's set at the admin level, and instructors don't need to worry about that too much. All right. So the next area that we're going to look at, and actually I'm going to I'm going to turn this off and I'm going to change this back to default. So when I go into my test student, we can see and get an idea what this looks like. So that's term and participation. So we're going to move along. We're going to talk about the default time, due time for this class. So by default, Canvas has everything due at 11:59 p.m. So if you set an assignment due date or availability end date, it always defaults to 11:59 p.m. And it's been like that for a while. But then we had some chatter in our Canvas community and we realized that people wanted to have a little more control and they didn't want to have to manually change that every time. So if you like to have maybe all of your assignments turned in by 5 p.m. on whatever date you have them assigned, you can actually set the default due time for everything in your class. Now, if you already had assignments in there that had assignment dates, this will not change that. If I come in and make this change, say maybe mid-semester, this will not change that. I'll still have to go back and manually update everything to 5 p.m. But if I'm just getting started and haven't added any end dates to my assignments, the default time would be whatever I set for here. And again, I can only do set the hour, or I can, for the default one, I can always customize this and put in exact times. But really, if I want to change it and get away from the 11:59, I can change it to a different time. So I can set that up. Now, the language is for just this course, and it's not going to translate the entire course content, but will translate the course navigation and some of the buttons in the language in there. So will override any user or system language preferences, and we really only use this or recommend this for any world language courses. And again, it's not going to translate all of your content, but it will change it will translate, say, the course navigation content and the header content for the students. So again, if you're teaching a world language class, this is a great way to have that language reflected in your Canvas course, and but it won't translate everything. Your Canvas user, under their account, their settings, they can actually change their default language to read that, but you can do this at the course level. Our file storage. So our Canvas courses have a limited file storage. There are ways to kind of get around that if you use cloud storage, as if you're pulling files from, say, your OneDrive or Google Drive, that won't impact your overall storage, but your courses do have a limited amount of storage. You can reach out to your Canvas admin. They can increase that. But I always tell people, make sure that you're utilizing the available tools for, offsite cloud storage. So you can embed files from your OneDrive or your Google Drive into your Canvas course, and it creates a dynamic embed. So the file itself actually lives on whatever cloud storage you have, and it's just embedding it and kind of previewing in Canvas for your students. And that helps save on file storage. And then moving down a little bit on our list, we have a large course. We can launch SpeedGrader by a filtered student group. And I do not recommend clicking this at all. I've run Canvas with 300 students in a course. And if you enable this, it's really going to throw off your grading, and everybody's going to be kind of clustered in student groups. So really haven't found a good functional use for this yet, but it is there. Sometimes people get into their grade book and things look a little weird. And for when I do support, the first thing I come in and I look at this large course, and I see that it's launched by filtered by group, and it just makes it a little more difficult for people to use. So probably not going to use this as an instructor in your Canvas course. Now, this grading scheme, you might want to use this, and you might need to use this. So if I want to enable a course grading scheme, I can go ahead and check that option, and then I can set that grading scheme. So it does give me an option to turn that on. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and a little pop-up window shows up. And so right now I have the default grading scheme. So what's set default by our institution. If maybe our institution has multiple ones, so I can select another one. I'm going to click on select another scheme, and I can see I don't have any other one, or maybe I have that new one here. And so I can go ahead and decide to use this one. which looks very similar to the other one, but I do have that new grading scheme. But maybe I can also manage those grading schemes. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it's going to take me into my grading scheme for my class. So I'm still in my government course, and this is the new one that I created, but I can come in and I can add a new custom grading scheme. So I still have the original one I had. And so maybe I want to set this one up as, let's just do incomplete. And so maybe I just want to have a custom grading scheme for my entire class. Maybe it's just proficiency based. Either they're proficient or not proficient, complete or incomplete. And bottom line with Canvas and the grading is it all boils down to percentage. It takes the possible points and it takes the points earned by the student, and then it calculates a percentage. So points earned over possible points comes up with a percentage all the time. And so what I would have to do is customize this grading scheme for to reflect whatever my program is. So maybe my proficiency or my complete or incomplete is anything 80% or higher would be a complete. And anything below that is incomplete. Now, this is a very basic grading scheme here, and then I could come in and remove all the ones below. But Canvas will automatically adjust that math. So if I want to maybe do a mid-range one, as I update this, you'll notice that this next line automatically filters down to anything below that 60% to whatever percentage. So I can adjust this and Canvas will update this in real time. So I'm going to go ahead and change this back to 0. And again, super simple one, but this is the grading scheme. And once I have it, I can go ahead and hit save. So now at this point, I have 2 grading schemes, and I can come back to my settings. And I'm going to say view grading scheme. And now I'm going to select another one. And there's that complete or incomplete. And if I want to use this one, so now by default, every assignment I have will use this custom grading scheme. Now at the assignment, I can override this and set a different one, but I can set this up as well. So sometimes in programs, if you have this complete or incomplete or proficient, not proficient, whatever terminology you use at your institution, you can set these up, especially for skill sets. So if you're looking for specific skill sets, you can set this. If you are utilizing the traditional 90 to 100 or 94 to 100%, you can leave it at that. You can also add in another layer of utilizing rubrics for grading. And then if you're tracking mastery of specific program standards or student learning outcomes, you can actually set some of this up through outcomes, which is a different session, but you can do outcomes with your student learning standards or your program outcomes and track mastery or needs improvement on that in that area as well. So a couple different ways to do it. But again, overall, if your institution, if you have one set grading scheme, you're just going to want to leave this as the default one. And then you can kind of move on from there. All right, any questions about grading scheme? All right. Just want to make sure I'm not moving too quick. The next area on our settings, and I'm going to finish going through these and then give you some hands-on time to work on this, is our licensing. So we do have, we can set it, most of the time it's always set to private, copyrighted, because this is your content, your proprietary to your institution. But you can set it to public domain, and you can also do Creative Commons licensing. For more information, there is that little question mark. So if I click on that, it's going to give me a little guidance on how to use this. And if I want to use this license, I can actually click and it will apply that. So click on that question mark. It's going to give me a little bit more information on how to use this license, on how I want to do it. But again, most of the time, your content is created for you or by you at your institution and at your university, and it's to be used at that university. So you can set that as private, and then you can kind of move on from that. So it will track the default license of the content. And by default, Canvas considers all of your content copyrighted because it's set by you at your institution. So you can set that. If you need to file any copyright information, you're going to need to enable that as well. So there is some more information on that. Now, the visibility, this may be something that you want to have a discussion at your institution. Maybe you have some guidance already written out. So we can have it set by course, institution, or public. And so what in the world does that mean? We're going to click on that little question mark. And so course would be just anybody associated with this course, anybody enrolled in this course will have access. At the institution level, all users associated with the institution can look at the course. They can't interact with the course, but they can see that. And then if we set it for public, anybody with a URL can have access to this. So you're probably thinking, why in the world would I want to make this public? You can have a course set to public. Maybe you want potential students to preview some course content. And you don't need them to have access to your Canvas account and a login and a user account. So you can create kind of course shells, kind of teaser courses or preview, so people can get kind of a taste of the content that they're going to get from your institution, and set those as public. Now, public courses cannot have any kind of interaction or I call assessments, so no participation. So what does that exactly mean? You can't have a discussion or an assignment or a quiz for people to take in a public course. They won't have access to that, to do any kind of, it won't do any grade tracking or enrollment. So it's just kind of a preview only. Some good examples, maybe you have a student resource course on how to use Canvas at your institution, and you just want to have it as kind of a general resource that any student can have, and you want that web link just to be public for everybody. So you can set that as public. Your institution will allow people to search courses and maybe look through the syllabus or the homepage of the course, but they can't do that interaction. And usually by default, if it's a academic type course, it's just set to course. The visibility is just set to course. And I really just wanted to highlight mostly that public one because a lot of times we'll have the course set so we can give kind of a teaser or preview course of what kind of content they're going to get at our institution. Now, once you have that visibility checked, you can always customize this. And so this institution one, a good use case for this is we can allow people to look at, or potential students maybe for certain courses, to look at the syllabus for that. And then the files we can keep only to the course. So you can actually customize this. So maybe you want students that are enrolled in your account to be able to search courses and look at the syllabus for a particular course. And you can set that up. And then we can also include that on the public course index. So they can search for courses and maybe get a preview of a syllabus. Maybe they're interested in the course. They want to dive a little deeper into it before they actually register for the course. So that's some customizations you can do at visibility. But generally, courses are set at just at the course level, and that customization is turned off. All right, so that's visibility. Now the format, this is, if you change it, it's great. If you don't, it's only going to show up in that course index. But if the course is completely on campus, you can go ahead and set that. Maybe it's online or some blended modality. So you can set the format, and that will just be listed in the course on the course index for searching. Mastery paths, the whole account that I'm in right now has included mastery paths. And this allows the instructor to set up an individualized learning path for students based on an assessment. So if you want to use this feature in Canvas, this has to be enabled. You can see mine's grayed out. I can't uncheck it because my Canvas admin has forced this onto all of the courses. I don't have to use it, but it's now a feature that I as an instructor can have access to, and I don't have to do any extra steps. So if I want to use it, I can just start my mastery path and enable that in my class. It's already been turned on for me. All right, the EPUB export. Sometimes we have students that don't have internet access at home or off campus, I should say, off campus, don't have internet access off campus. And maybe we want them to be able to preview our course and download it. And so it'll download it and extract it as an EPUB format. And then they can go in and download that before they leave campus. And then they can have access to course content. They cannot submit assignments. They can't do any participation. They can just preview any of the course content that is exported in that EPUB. So it's kind of turns your class into kind of a Kindle version. They can download it and then they can preview it and just read the content. That's about all they can do. Course pacing, we can go ahead and enable course pacing. This is an active development, so this isn't like a 100% bug-free feature, but it is coming. And we do have a course pacing users group, and this is really used if you are utilizing any kind of open enrollment and you want students to know, you can set the course pacing. So maybe you have 10 assignments in your class and you want to give students 8 days between each assignment. And so it'll set those due dates for that student as they are enrolled in the class, and they can set their course pacing so they can stay on track. So it's, again, a newer feature, and there is a user group. So if you enable that, you can click on that and that'll take you into the Canvas community for that user group for course pacing. And you can get some more information, see some of those rollouts, and get some information on how other people are using it at their institution. So it's a great product for classes that have a lot of rolling enrollment. So if you have one class set for the whole semester, maybe it only takes 3 or 4 weeks to get through all the content, and you always have continuous students being added and students finishing up. And then you can have that class run for the semester, and everybody will have a different start date and end date, and you can kind of go that way. Now this last, well, almost the last box is this description. So going back up here to our public course and being able to have this course searchable, we can set the description for that course. So we can put just a little quick paragraph on what this course is about. And so I can set that up. And so when people search for this course, they're going to get this text and this information. Again, if you're not using this for any kind of, show on public course index, probably don't need to fill this out, but just depends on how you want to have this presented to your students, maybe potential students, and how they can search for your courses. So you can put in that description. Now, the last thing we're going to look at here is this more options. And I always say this is our little hidden gem in Canvas, and it's very non-discrete. So we're going to go ahead and click on more options and go through these last few things, and then I'm going to get you guys some hands-on time to work on this. So under more options, we have all of these different features. You may have a couple different ones than I have. It really depends on how your Canvas admin has enabled this. But I'm going to go through a couple, and we'll talk about most of these. So if I want to show any announcements on my home page, I can go ahead and say show recent announcements, and I can just set the default number of announcements. It takes up some real estate on that home page, but it is a great way for students to see quickly any new announcements, because it's going to list them in the order of newest. And so I found anywhere between 2 and 3 is a sweet spot for new announcements, depending on how frequently you're posting in your class. So if you post announcements regularly, 1 to 2 announcements per week, if your class meets weekly, 2 is probably better. But some people like 3, and I'll show you what this looks like when I save it. So I can have announcements show up on that course homepage. If I want to let students attach files in discussions and create discussions, I have those options. And if I want to let students edit or delete their own discussion replies, I can do that as well. Now, one thing, I know we're at university, so we were working with adults. If a student types a discussion post and then they delete it or edit it, you as an instructor don't see what the original discussion post was unless you see it immediately when they post it. But if they make any edits and changes, you're not going to see that progression like you would in an assignment if they keep resubmitting. If you have your discussion set up where students must post a reply or submit their posts before they see what other students have posted, then you're probably going to want to uncheck this option, because students potentially could just type in a word or two, post their reply, see what other students have posted, and then maybe go back and edit their reply, and you're not going to see that progression of that. So this is all instructor choice. You can go ahead and set these up however you want. If you want to let students organize their own groups, you can go ahead and check that. But one thing you'll need to do is make sure that they have access to this People tab. And the other thing is, if you want them to create discussion topics, this discussions will need to be enabled at the course navigation. And we're actually going to show you how to do course navigation in just a few minutes. The other options are how they're going to see their grades. So if you want to hide the totals for student grades in the summary and hide distribution, you can do that. And then if you want to hide sections in the People pages from students, we can do that as well. And the only sections really are, if I'm teaching this government class, say I have a class on Mondays that meets Mondays and Wednesdays. I have another one that meets Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then maybe I have a Friday morning class for 3 hours. I don't know why I'd want to do that, but it's possible. So I teach the same government class to 3 separate groups of students, because I have 3 different sections of that government class. And so I may want to collapse them all down into work out of this one Canvas shell. And when I do that, then at that point, each one of those classes will be considered a section in Canvas. So I'd have a Monday, Wednesday section, a Tuesday, Thursday section, and a Friday section. And so I could have students potentially be in different groups across sections, but maybe I want to prevent that. So I could hide sections from People in the People tab. So when students say they self-enroll into groups, they don't see what section each other's in. So I can hide that if I want. The other one I like to do is disable comments on my announcements. So if I post an announcement in a class, if I leave this on, or excuse me, if I leave this unchecked, students can go in and make comments on announcements, because on the back end under the hood in Canvas, announcements and discussions are very similar in their programming and their formatting. So students can make comments on announcements. I, as an instructor, hated to have to go back and moderate that, because I'd have students say, hey, I sent you an email. And I'm like, no, you didn't. I checked my inbox and there's nothing in my inbox. Well, actually there is, but and so what I found out was that they were actually making comments on the announcements I posted. And in my world, when I set an announcement, I set it and forget it. And I don't ever go back to it. So if I'm reminding them we have an exam, if we've got, we're going on a field trip somewhere, we're going, to some community event, I set it and I forget it. And I don't, if they need to make a comment to me or they have a question about it, they can send me a message through that inbox. So disabling comments on announcements, just as an instructor, helps with some of the back end of management. And then I don't have to go back and look at those announcements again. And then the last couple things here is that who can create and rename and edit course pages by default. Don't ever check this and allow students, because they'll have editing rights to your pages. You can set up a page in your class to allow students to be able to edit the page. So if you had like what I refer to them as a wiki page, so think of Wikipedia, how people can go in and edit things. But we can, if you have one page, maybe you want students, you have a knowledge-based document and you want them to share, you can set that up and set those changes on that particular page. So I would just leave this set at default. Only teachers can edit my pages. But just know that you can change that. This disable content security policy, I don't think at the course level it's here, but I don't think we can change this. Sometimes when we turn this off, we get a little bit of error and I can't even turn that off. This is a newer feature of content security policy set by the institution. It just shows up here, but it cannot be disabled. So that is there. I just like to point it out because you can see I've got all these times I clicked on it and it's saying I can't undo it. And that's just Canvas saying that you don't have the permissions, which is totally fine. So with that, we went through everything on the settings, which was a lot of information. We started up here at the picture. Just going to highlight the big ones. Maybe your course participation needs to be customized. So you can set that to the course. Big thing to remember is this Cinderella date here will be at midnight. So you'll always want to add another day to it. And maybe your grading scheme needs to be customized. Most of the time your visibility, you're going to just leave it at course and not worry about it. But again, it depends on what your Canvas admin or your institutional admin want for public searching of courses. And then that more options, go ahead and update that course announcements to 2 or 3. And when I save this, it will make all these changes take effect. So if I make any changes on this settings, just on the settings tab here, I need to come in and say update course details, and that'll make all the changes take effect. And so now when I go back to my home page, I should have an announcement at the top. So there's my 2 announcements, and those will live here at the top. I can go into student view to get an idea of what this looks like. And there's my announcements up here at the top. I can see that they're new. The test student hasn't seen them because they have the little blue dot beside them. And I can get a preview. But do you see how the announcements kind of push the home page down? So my quick buttons here aren't on the top of the screen. So just be careful if you put too many announcements here. It's going to push all of your wonderful stuff you have on their home page down a little bit further. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and leave student view, and I'm going to get you guys some time to work on this. One thing to be careful of, especially if you're working in your sandbox and getting things set up, if you change this course participation and we set this for a future date, I'm going to change this, a future date, when I go into student view, let's see if this will hold true for me. It's going to impact when students can have access to it. So just note that if you put any dates, future dates and things like that, it may impact, depending on where you're at and what you're doing in there, it may impact your test student. And so usually when you're just setting up your classes, I just say, don't change those dates for right now. But when you get into your SIS course, you can go in and edit those. All right, so we're going to give you a chance to kind of play around. Go into your sandbox course, one of your courses you're working on, go to the course details, click on more options. Click on more options and update any of your course settings that you want in there on that whole list, and then and then make sure you click on update course settings at the very bottom to save everything. I'm going to give everybody like 3 minutes to play around with this. If you have questions, throw those in the chat. I'll put the little timer up on the screen so we can kind of get an idea. And then when we come back, we are going to look at, let me make sure I'm following everything. We are going to look at the rest of the tabs, talk about our course navigation, and look at copying and looking at some of the apps. All right, so I'm going to put myself on mute. We're going to set that timer for 3 minutes. And if y'all need more time, we can certainly adjust that. We'll give you a couple minutes to play around with that. All right, so hopefully you had a chance to play around with a couple of those settings, and I'm going to pull up another class for us to look at. Have some blueprint information. All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit and go into a biology course, which is totally fine. All right, so we're going to stay in our government for just a couple more minutes, and then we will jump into the other one. So I'm going to look at sections here in our courses, and you may or may not have, you may teach this class multiple times, and Rachel, you can let me know if you guys are going to allow them to cross list courses, and I can go into that a little bit. So under sections, we'll list your users, your students into any section that has been created by your course. So by default, okay, you are cross-listing, perfect. By default, your course is set up and you have everybody's enrolled into one section for that particular course. When you cross-list, so if I'm teaching this government class, like my example I had given before was Monday, Wednesday, and I have a Tuesday, Thursday class. When you cross-list, your students will be listed in those respective sections that their courses that they're enrolled in. And so under your course settings, then at that point, you can look at sections and you can see each one of those. So I can see all my students' enrollments, and I will be in here. You'll be in there as a teacher, and then you'll have your students enrolled. So this is my Monday, Wednesday class. If I have anybody that's completed, that'll show. If I have active enrollments, that'll show as well. So a completed enrollment would be maybe a student has been marked, they're concluded in the course. So that's usually not a normal case in the course, because that's all managed by your student information system. So we can kind of disregard that one. Did that one for a demo. So that's our Monday, Wednesday class. If I go into my Tuesday, Thursday class, I can see again my current enrollments, and then I'm in here again as that teacher. And so I'll be listed there as well. So what this does for me is when I create an announcement or when I do any assignments or discussions, I can actually customize who sees this announcement or the due dates for those assignments. So my sections will live there, and go into announcements super quick. And then if I post an announcement, I can actually post that to one of those sections. So instead of sending an announcement to everybody in the class, maybe I'm going to cancel class because it's a Monday class and we have a holiday, then I can go ahead and post that announcement, and only the students that are enrolled in that section will get access to that. So that's one of the benefits of cross-listing, that you only have one class, one Canvas course, I should say, for multiple classes or sections that you're teaching. And so you only have to work and manage this one particular class. So this is nice. All right, so that's our sections. Now we have course navigation here. And I understand you guys all, you guys all have a template or your blueprint. So your course navigation, most of the time you're not going to have to worry about changing this because it's set for you. So you don't need to, you won't need to go in and make any edits with that. Your apps, probably the same way. That this will just give you any apps that have been added into this Canvas course. And if you have apps and external tools is basically what they are. If you have needs for those, then you're going to want to reach out to your Canvas admin at your university, and they can help guide you along. And really, as an instructor, it's not really a benefit for you to add them and manage them. And you probably don't even have access to that, which is probably good, because then you can just give it to that task to somebody else. But if you're interested to see what other tools are available, you can always come in here and we can see which ones are installed. So you know which ones you can utilize in your class. And if you want to get a bigger list and kind of dive a little deeper into some of that, there are some other tools. So I'm going to go ahead and just open this in another tab. It's going to open up across here. And these are just open LTI app collection, just a collection of them kind of all in one spot. Now, some of these are free Some of these are paid, just depends on what the account is and what you're looking for. Some of them are specific to content areas. So if you're looking for some OER content, you can search by categories, by grade levels. Obviously, we're going to search by Canvas as a platform, access, open access, or maybe you have to be authenticated. So just if you need some kind of direction on some utilizing some external tools within Canvas, you can definitely go through here and see what's available. As an instructor, I like to come here and see what's installed. And so I can see that I have all of these in this particular class. So where a lot of times these are going to show up is, I'm going to come back to my announcement here, is in my rich content editor under this plug, I have all of my apps and I can actually go in and view all. And those are it's going to look similar to the list that I have under my external apps. I may have a couple like this redirect doesn't work on that external tool. It's actually redirected on my course navigation, but I can get an idea of where those are going to live. So they'll be anywhere I have external tool, those tools will be listed. And I can see that list under here. Now, sometimes I maybe have specialty curriculum. I can come into my course and view app configurations. And so this will allow me to see a little bit broader terms of what I have for my app configurations. So I can't change anything because there's those locks beside there, but if I want to look a little more into this, I can see that my badges, I have it on my account, my course, and then I can do badges on my assignments as well. So I have a little bit more details that I can come in here and see what's going on. And then I can also go back up to view app center and it'll take me right back to where that is. So again, you'll reach out to your Canvas admin at the university, and if there's other apps that you want to look at, but these are the ones that are going to be installed on your account. Alerts is just an alert for each student if there's any criteria. This is again a newer feature. You may not have this, but we can trigger an alert with any ungraded submissions, and we can send a notification to the student or the teacher, and we can send that alert, resend it every 3 days until it's resolved. So if we have ungraded submissions, or let's see, no teacher interaction, we can establish that trigger with a student for 7 days, and we can send an alert, and then we can save that alert. So let's go and add that recipient, and let's change that to student here. And so I can add that notification, and then so it'll trigger those alerts. And oh, I'm sorry, the music's on. My apologies. I must have hit something. There we go. So we can set those alerts up, and then it'll resend that until it's resolved. Again, this is a newer feature. You may want to kind of play around with it a little bit, not set up too many alerts, and just see how that goes and see if that is a good way to communicate with your students. That in Canvas will take care of that on the back end. All right. The next one is feature options. So because you all are getting a blueprint, there's probably a good chance that you don't want to override any of those feature options that are available. And some are locked down for you. And so they may be forced off, and then you may have a lock beside them. So meaning that you can't turn them on. And these are just overall course features. And so you can go ahead and drill down and get some more information if you want to turn those on and look at those. There is a discussion redesign. And again, because you're getting that blueprint and your course content is already copied over to you, you want to make sure, we're not turning things on that's going to change the look and the feel of your overall course. With that, your blueprint that you get, you can make some changes to that. And I'm going to switch over to my blueprint class to kind of show you what that looks like. But with your feature options, those are all pushed over from the blueprint, just like your course navigation is all pushed over. So you won't need to worry about adding editing any of that. But just if you're curious to see what changes are happening, these are new features. Some of them are feature preview. It's just an ongoing update. It's outside of a regular release schedule, and they're still working on fine tuning and making sure that this looks correct. You can always go into your sandbox and turn this on and get an idea of what this new option is going to look like, because eventually these will be just commonplace and just regular features and not new features. For this discussion redesign, I always point this one out. It's been out for feature option for about a year now, but there is a user group for some of these. So if you want to get a little more involved and kind of see what kind of changes are coming, the programmers at Canvas with Instructure really look and listen to the community group. So if there's a lot of instructors utilizing certain features, they want to, get a pulse of how people are interacting with this and what their thoughts and feelings are, and maybe look for some changes and some updates. So you can always expand these feature options, see what's going on. And if you want to go into that user group, it will take you into the Canvas community. So you can jump in there and see what people are talking about with that. All right, so then the last one here are integrations. And again, you're probably not going to see anything. This is kind of a newer thing. Your Canvas admin has the same feature there, and that is what they have. So if you have like a Microsoft or Google integration, that'll be here, but you won't, as an instructor, you won't be able to change anything on that. All right, so we're going to stick here in settings. I'm going to go over a couple of these options over here on the right-hand side. And some of them are going to be done for you. And actually, I'm going to jump into my biology course here to show you what this looks like. So I'm going to go down to settings. And this course was blueprinted. One thing I can see where the blueprint originated from. And I can come in here and look at a couple more things in this area. So under our course settings, and I can get to any of the tabs across the top, I can come in and look at course statistics, and I can see the number of discussions, how many posts. So after my students start participating in this class, I can come in and look at overall stats. I can see my active students and quizzes and quiz questions and submissions. It's just going to give me kind of a running total. I can also look at my assignment usage. So because your classes are blueprinted out, we can come in as an instructor and I can quickly see how many assignments I have with the submission type. So it gives me an idea of what I'm looking at when I do some grading. So I've got a lot of file uploads here, text entries. So those are going to be some manual grading. And I can see that this particular blueprint is not using any student annotation. I can see I got 15 total assignments for this class, and I've got 10 students, so I can kind of gauge what I've got coming in for looking at that. I can see students that are recently logged in, and then I can see the overall course storage file area. But really, as an instructor, I want to look at assignment usage, and then I like looking at the totals because it'll give me the total number of quizzes, total number of discussions, how many posts are there, and how many questions. So actually, let me go into this one because I've got a little bit more student usage here. So I can see I have, in this particular class, I have 11 discussions total. Right now, I only have 3 posts. I've got 4 quizzes. I've got 7 quiz questions and 3 submissions. So it gives me kind of some running totals of my how my students are doing. And then once students start submitting, I can see all of that submission details as well. All right, so that's our statistics for our class. And I'm going to bounce back to our biology only because that one is blueprinted, and that's going to be similar to what you all are looking at. Over on the right-hand side, I can jump to my course calendar. So if I need to look at those events and due dates in mass, I can just jump into that calendar, and it's going to take me just into that particular course. I can see that URL across the top is just for that particular course. Now, one thing I want to look at is this blueprint information. And whoops, it's go ahead and back up and do that again. So as an instructor, when I click on blueprint information, it's going to give me the blueprint course, and it's going to give me any updates that have been pushed out. So sometimes on your blueprint courses, content is maybe updated, maybe, typos and things are fixed and corrected. So it gives me an idea of what has been updated. So if my blueprint was updated and I did not get a notification from our blueprint manager on this, I can come in here and see exactly when the updates were. And I can see what updated. So I can see this at the lab bench copy updated, and then the home page was updated. And I can see those changes, and I can see that it happened on May 4th, and I can see who pushed it out. So if there's, things that are not looking right, I know exactly who I need to contact for this and get that information. So under your course settings, you do have that blueprint updated information. Now we can come in here and update or validate links for our course. And so generally, because you are all getting a blueprint, this should be done by your blueprint manager at the blueprint level, but you can add your own content in. So, if you add content with existing content or copied content, you want to come in here and run that link validator. Okay, so your link validator, I'm gonna run this so we can see this, is again under settings and validate links. And so what Canvas will do, it's going to search the entire course, and it's going to look for invalid or unreachable links and maybe any broken images. And we want to do this even though we have a blueprint, because our course, we may have added content. We may have added our own existing content or copied content from another course into our blueprinted course that we're using for class. So we want to run this link validator. I'm going to let this run, and then I've got a screenshot of what this looks like when it's done. And it will give us a link report that will look similar to this. And so it's going to tell us a couple things. So it'll tell me how many broken links I have. It will tell me exactly where the broken links are, so I can see my course card image. That image was unreachable, so I'll have to go in and fix that. I had an external link here under a module. I've got some more module external links, and then within a content page, and you can see the indicators over on the left, it's going to tell me I'm either got missing links, or missing images or broken links. So it's going to give me a kind of a rundown of what that link validator is found, and then I can go in and fix those. So back here in my biology class, that was a blueprinted class, I see I have 21 broken links, and it's also showing to any unpublished content. So if you find this is the case, and I'm thinking, well, I didn't make this, my blueprint manager did, my department head did this, I'm probably going to reach out to them to say, hey, we need to fix this. But I can see this welcome to class. This was actually something that maybe I added to the class as a benefit. And so this is my page. I'm responsible for this. I'll need to come in here and fix this. So all I'll need to do is I'm going to just open this in another tab. I'm going to go into this discussion. And so it's opening over here. And I can see that record image is not working, is broken. And I can see that broken link right there. And not record, record. And I'm going to go in and hit edit here. And I am going to find that. And so I can see that little button is broken. So I can go to image options, and it's coming from somebody else's website. I can see here. So I'm most likely going to need to make my own. So I would just zoom in really big, add in my own little picture. And now I'm going to select that one and delete. And again, I'm only uploading this because I was the one that edited this page and added this page. So I'm going to upload an image, and I'm actually going to fix that right now. So doing the unresponsive web links is helpful because it allows you to fix things. or video post. I'm just putting in my alt text here, and it's going to update that. There we go. And we're going to say record button above. All right, so now that I fixed this, let's go ahead and save it. So I've got that fixed. My link is not broken. It's part of that class. I can come back to my link validator and I can restart that link validation. But I'll probably want to go through and fix the 27 issues first, or at least reach out to my my department head that's managing the blueprint and have them fix their side of it. And then I'll come back here and run this again to make sure that my stuff that I was responsible for is fixed and working. All right, so now we have 21, and that new topic of welcome to class is not listed. So that's a good thing. So I have fixed mine. And so then I can send this off to our blueprint manager and have them fix it. Now, this external link with the homepage, just looking at this, I might have edited this homepage. So again, you need to make sure that your link validator will, that you validate anything that any content that you've created and you've brought in. All right, so that's our link validator. Now, if we have our blueprint, and I'm going to come into modules here, and we can see that this is our blueprint here because we've got some things that are locked or unlocked. So maybe I have content from one course and I want to import it into this blueprint course. And I'll go back to my government class. Let's go into my modules here. And maybe I have this instructor contact information in my bio information. So maybe I have this and I want to copy this into my other course and I want to put it in here. I don't want to have to recreate it. So what you can do is either from your sandbox or from another course, we can actually send content from one area to another, so from one class to another. So I can select that page and I'm going to come over to this ellipses icon and I can say copy to, or I could send it to. So I can share content with others as well. So we're going to do the copy to first. So I'm going to say copy to. It's going to bring up the courses. And if I were a regular teacher in my class, right now I'm an admin, but I could go in and I could start typing in or have a drop down list of my course, my courses list. So I would just choose that from the list. So I'm going to find my biology one here that I'm going to import into. And so I'm choosing my course and then I can say what module I want to put it in. So it's about me. So I'm going to put that in that course and I can place it at the top. Maybe I want to put it after, and then I'm going to say after, let's get started. And so it's going to take that and it'll send this instructor contact information and bio into that course. So again, to recap what I did, went into the course that I had the content that I created. I chose edit and I said copy to, and then I'm going to choose my course on the right. And then if I want to put it in a specific module, I can do that. And then I can say place, and I can place it wherever I want, or just put it at the bottom and then I can drag it. So let's go into our biology course. I'm going to go into my modules. And there is that instructor contact information. And I said, put it below the let's get started. And if I want to go ahead and move this around, I can go ahead and adjust this as needed. And maybe I want to put that at the top. And so now I'm in that biology course, click on that, and it's going to give me that same contact information. So I can go back and forth and share from one course to another. All right, let's see. I have a hands-on activity for that. I don't think I do, but so the other thing we can do is if we want to share content with other faculty members. So say this welcome to our course. I created this page, looks great, and other people want to use it and customize it. I can do that as well. So same process. If I'm in modules, I'm going to come over to the right-hand side. I'm going to click on that ellipses. And instead of the copy to, I'm going to say send to. And it's going to allow me to type in another person's name, and I can go ahead and send this to that person. And now they're going to get a copy of this page that I just created. So I can share content beyond myself. And then what will happen is on their side is they're going to get an indicator on their account. And under your account, you have a shared content. And you can see that shared content. So I can see that Heidi sent some stuff to me. Ellen sent me some stuff a while ago. So what I did was I shared with Heidi. On Heidi's account, she's going to go to shared content, and then she'll have a list of everything that I've shared with her. I guess you can see Heidi shared some stuff with me. So I've got this art critique. If I want to look at this, I can go to preview, or I can go ahead and say, yep, I want to use it. I'm going to import it. And I can start typing in the name of the course. And it'll list all my courses here. And I can bring it into a specific page. So I'm going to bring in this week 1 and close. If I want to preview this before, I can go ahead and hit preview. This will run a preview. For some reason, this file doesn't like to do a preview of this, but it should give you a screenshot of what the resource is and what it looks like. So let me see if I can do it with this guidelines one. I think some of these have been sitting in here and they're a little bit too old, so it's not showing. If for some reason there is something and it does fail, I can see that she sent me this, I think it was a module, and it failed. I can always come in and remove it. So I just leave that one there just for demo purposes. But let's go in and look at that art critique that we added to our biology course and where we can find it. So I'm going to go back into that biology and refresh. And there is that art critique, came in with the due date for that assignment, and I can go ahead and open this. And now this is a separate copy. Heidi shared this with me. I can import this into my class, and I can edit this and make whatever copy I want to. And I have complete access to this. So just know that once somebody shares something, then it's going to be under your account and under shared content. You import that into whatever class you want, and you can edit and make any adjustments as needed for your courses. All right, let's see. We're going to go back to just making sure I am answering all the questions, and then we want to give you some time to ask anything else. So again, with your course details, you've got a lot of stuff's already set for you through that blueprint. But you can go into more options and customize that. Your course navigation, you won't need to worry about that. Backtrack to sections. Your classes will be cross-listed. So just know your students will live in those sections. Your navigation, you'll just want to leave that. Apps is just helpful. You can see what's been installed, what you have access to, and you'll see that in the rich content editor. Feature options just gives you a look at what kind of options are available if you want to change any of those. And then over on the right hand side under that course status, you can look at your statistics. You can jump into your course calendar and then go ahead and validate those links content. And then that will let you know if anything that you created, the links are all valid. And then if you want to look at any of your blueprint information, you can go ahead and click on that, and that will tell you the last couple times things were pushed out and if any changes were updated. And again, that's very helpful to have access just to see what changes have been made if you notice some changes. Within your content, because you have a blueprint, just know that you can add things to your course, and you can copy, import things that were created from, say, like your sandbox course. You can also do a full import in under settings. So let me go through that, and I'm going to explain why I would rather use the direct share as opposed to import. So if we have our, let's see, we're in our biology. If we have our government class, I know I'm switching disciplines, it's kind of confusing. And maybe we have some content in here that we want to bring into our biology course. We can do that two ways. And I'd say the easiest way to do this is just come over to whatever that content is and just say copy to, choose the course you want to, and copy just those items one at a time. And we can do this with a whole module as well. So we're not limited to just individual items. Now, the other thing we can do is we can go into our course details and we can import course content. And because this is a blueprint, I really wouldn't recommend this as best practice, because your course is already there. It's been created, it's there. But if we have onesie twosie things we want to import, we probably just do that direct share. But we can say copy a Canvas course, and then we would just start typing in the name of that course. And again, you're going to have a drop down of the courses. And so I'm going to just choose that biology course. And for this, I just want to be careful. I don't want to bring in all content, but I want to select specific content. And so by doing that, I can say import, and it will queue this up for me. And then I'm going to say select content. And then I can come in and say there's that one assignment, or actually let's do a content page. Say there's a content page that I want to bring in just for this class. I can go in and just select that, or those few things. So I'm going to select those two, and I'm going to say select content. And now that'll queue that up and it'll start importing in. So that will just bring those pages in. I can find those under pages. And I'm going to go to view all pages. And I can import those in. So I brought in that one, I did a direct share. And then I brought in that protective equipment one. And actually that was brought in a couple of times. And I think I had one more brought in, the let's get started. So I can see the dates on those, of the date that I brought those in, and those will show up. Also over here, I can see that that one isn't part of the blueprint, but the previous one is. And so I can, if I have anything that's kind of named the same, so these two were named the same. So it just put a, Canvas said, oh, you already have something with that name. We're going to put a -2 so you know, but I always know from the date on that as well. So when you are copying content in, just know that you can copy a Canvas course. The big thing to remember is say select specific content and then choose your individual content item. But again, I would say because your classes are blueprinted, the best and the easiest thing to do is say just copy to. So you go into your course that has the content that you want to copy over, your existing content, and you want to copy it to your new course that has been blueprinted out for you. So I think that would be the best. Then after you do that, then of course, we'll want to go back into that course and always run that link validator, and that'll take care of things for you. All right, that takes us to pretty much the end of our session. I skipped over a couple of the hands-on just because I felt like they weren't helpful, because you guys do have a blueprint. So I wanted to make sure if your confetti is turned on after you run the link validator, it will give you, if everything is good to go, it'll give you some confetti, which is kind of fun and nice. And again, the direct share, you can send to a person, or you can copy to another class, and that'll allow you to do that. And you can do that multiple places. So you can go into assignments, you can go into the actual assignment details as well, and you can also do that from modules. And that will allow you to do a direct share with somebody else. And they have to be in your institution. So you can't do a direct share with somebody in a different Canvas account. It has to be somebody within your institution. And there's copy to. And that takes us to the end of the session.